We're back at it again, boys and grills. We're at the end of the Koopaling road and are going to look at the final one. How did Roy Koopa change in terms of use, story, gameplay and design throughout all those years? Well, let's find out. From what has been revealed about Roy's personality, he's more raw power than brains, preferring brute force over thinking things through. Despite his gruff, tough guy demeanor, he originally wore a pink shell, which is likely a reference to real men wear pink. He also wears hot pink sunglasses similar to his namesake, the rock and roll musician Roy Orbison. Now, just like all the other Koopalings, he was first seen in Super Mario Bros. 3, where they are conquering lands and kidnap Princess Peach. Mario goes after them and ends up confronting Roy, so of course this ends in a fight. Now, a lot of the Koopalings in this game have similar moves to each other, like spinning in their shells, shooting magic blasts, and way more. However, in battle, Roy also leaps at Mario and tries to crush him with his ground-shaking stomps. He's one of the only Koopalings to use this move, since the other one that uses it is Ludwig, but besides that, nobody else. Interestingly, the official Prima Guide of Super Mario Advance 4 Super Mario Bros 3 describes that Roy is a little heavier than his younger family, which might indicate that Roy is one of the older Koopalings. Besides that, it might also explain why he's one of the only members that can perform the ground-shaking stomps. Overall, the boss fights in this game are quite basic and are all similar to each other, which is a bit lame. However, the new move that Roy has will certainly surprise the player, since he's one of the only ones to do it. You are stunned at that point and are slowed down, making it a lot easier for Roy to hit you, so it certainly makes the fight more difficult. Now, they were seen in more games after this. They appeared in the next game as well, Super Mario World. Here, Roy takes over the Forest of Illusions as Bowser invades Dinosaur Land, and of course Mario ends up fighting him. However, this battle is a bit disappointing. Roy uses Morton Koopa Jr.'s attack pattern by climbing up the walls of his room and dropping down from the ceiling in an attempt to crush you. But, unlike the last battle, the walls of the arena steadily close in, giving you less of an easy time to avoid the attacks. So the boss fights in this game certainly improved, since this time they are different from each other. There are still some fights the same, but they at least added something to them. For example, with Roy, he is essentially the more difficult version since the arena shrinks, so pressure is added to the fight. Because the longer you wait, the more difficult the fight becomes. A tiny improvement, and also quite a simple one to do. Besides that, it's the exact same as the Morton fight, which is a bit of a disappointment. Just like Super Mario Bros 3, there's only one thing that makes the fight different, which is a bit lazy since Nintendo could have easily added more. Now, as you all know, the Koopalings disappeared after this game because of the 3D games they started making. They have never been seen in those games, and it will most likely never happen as well. But luckily enough, Nintendo picked up the 2D formula again at some point. 19 years later, Roy, along with the rest of the Koopalings, reappeared in new Super Mario Bros Wii as bosses. This time around he wears a purple shell instead of his pink shell from the past games. Now, just like all the older games, the story is quite simplistic and boring, so we're just gonna skip that. It's a bit sad though that Nintendo never puts any effort into it. You fight him twice, and in the first fight, Roy's arena is similar to Larry's first arena, except that it's filled with quicksand. During the fight, we go back to the very first game he was seen in when it comes to his attacks, since he jumps and ground pounds like a sledge bro. You will be stunned by the resulting shockwave if you're on the ground, and yet again he shoots magic blasts. So essentially we're going back to the Super Mario Bros 3 tactics, but this time in a higher resolution. Now, his moves from that game weren't that bad. However, it's a bit lame that they took his old moves and essentially copy-pasted them. However, there's a second fight. This arena closes up and there are no hazards. However, Kamek casts a spell, causing 5 huge warp pipes in different sizes to protrude from the ceiling. Roy will then jump into the warp pipe and start shoveling around, similar to Wendy and Lemmy's boss fights from Super Mario World. He can jump out of a pipe, making a shockwave to stun you, and if he jumps on you, there's also some damage involved. This is quite a cool mechanic since he jumps out straight away, so he can really surprise you. He's fast for once. However, one thing they could have worked on, and this is a problem with all the Koopalings, is his reset speed. He doesn't climb into the pipe fast enough, so you see the attack once, and at that point, you just jump on him over and over. This is such a shame since the attack is quite fun and makes the fight a lot more dynamic and active. However, this slow reset speed completely ruins it. But luckily enough, they made more games with the Koopalings in them, and the next one in line is New Super Mario Bros 2. In this battle, Roy charges towards Mario or Luigi and yet again shoots fireballs with his magic wand to hit them. You need to bait him to run into the wall to stun him. This in return will leave Roy vulnerable to being jumped on, and you can also do this when he's charging at you. Like in Super Mario World, the walls during this fight constantly close in each time you stomp on him, before he retreats into his shell. Now they finally changed his tactics a bit and tried something new, which is still quite fitting when thinking about all his older moves. He yet again pressures the player with the arena that gets smaller and his sudden charges. However, it suffers from the same problems yet again. The cycle is too slow. He does the charge once, you stand next to him when he stops spinning, jump on him, and repeat this until he is defeated. Yet again, the charge isn't seen by a lot of people since you can avoid him quite easily when he is spinning around if you jump on the walls. And in the next game, he has the exact same problem again, and this time they make it even easier to land the first hit. Roy appears again in the Wii U title New Super Mario Bros U. His battle strategy is to shoot bullet bills with his blaster and jump between platforms that move around during the fight. However, as soon as he fires once, you just stand above him on one of the platforms and let him jump against your feet, damaging him. Then you just dodge a bit and cancel his attacks again and again by jumping on him. And ta-da, you win. Now he can do all kinds of things like shoot homing missile bills, high jumps in the air and ground pounds, which makes him fire bullet bills on both sides of his blaster, and way more. However, we never see this because you just cancel his attacks and win, which is quite easy as long as you pay attention. Such limitless potential, but yet again, it's wasted. Overall, Roy hasn't been treated fairly by Nintendo. They reused a lot of his older tactics, gave him other attacks from other boss fights, and didn't try a whole lot of new things with him. And when they do, he has problems that make him too easy. It's a bit of a shame, really. Oh well, let's hope this improves in the future. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I have Snapchat nowadays. It's WilyYT, like Wily YouTube, so add me there. Besides that, also check out my Twitter and my Instagram and my Discord server and follow me there because I share a lot of fun things, updates, polls where I ask you what kind of videos I should make, and a lot more. And I even live stream on Twitch.